we deserve to enjoy the food that we had, not only the food, but enjoy all of the beauty of Allah's creation. Recently, I spoke to someone and I said, with all the stuff that's going on in the world today, even if we don't watch the news, the intense stress it puts on us unconsciously is huge. And I have found through the years the only way I can balance the horror and the brutality and the suffering of so many people in the world is to drink in as much as I can the beauty and the majesty of Allah's creation. Ramadan is this great gift for us. The Prophet ﷺ said, that the year is a disease and Ramadan is its medicine. And I pray, even in the short time that's left now, but all the following Ramadans, and between Ramadan to Ramadan, the rest of the year, I pray for all of us that we begin to recognize the value of real food. I recommend to people what I call the JERF diet, JERF, and that refers to just eat real food. There's a lot of research and recently books. There's a book called Ultra Processed People. And it points, if nothing else, the basic title says so much. And, I remember back in the 60s, the saying is, you are what you eat. And that's true. If we eat bad food and junk food and food with all of these chemicals, we have to realize that it's going to be a burden for us. And for some of us, it's going to create illness in itself. The susceptibility that we all have of various things and how that varies from person to person, what we refer to as allergies often, but susceptibilities. But what's going on in the world right now is the increase of so much chronic disease. And while new discoveries are being made, and the discoveries for the most part are great, some of them like the recognition that the stomach and the gut is where so much of the emotional and mental kind of sort of states draw from. And that's based on the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, who said that the diseases, they drink and they take their nourishment from the stomach and the gut. That's, and fasting, the fasting itself. Fasting in Ramadan, of course, is that medicine for us. So the food that we take, it's sahur. I know it's getting late into the Ramadan in the last stages, but I just suggest, the blanket thing that's probably going to be best is that we think of the food we're going to eat to be as pure as possible, as natural as possible, no additives, and as simple as possible. One of the things I've said through the years is when you have a meal, notice what it feels like as you're eating. Notice what it feels like when you stop eating, and ask yourself, is that enough? It's something I referred to in the past as the bite. And the bite is that piece of food, that bite that you no longer need more. You've taken enough in. And if you're focusing on dense nutrient foods, rich in nutrition, it may be earlier than, filling our stomachs. We have to realize that, from another video I posted about our need to suckle at the breast and then get it and then feel satisfied, that so many of us eat and desire and seek what we call comfort food. And it's an apt term because it brings us comfort. But in the long run, it won't bring us comfort. It'll bring us illness if we overeat. So stopping at the bite and ask yourself, has this been enough? And someone said, yeah, but I don't want to waste the food. And I said, well, you don't want to leave the food, but organize your plans and what you're going to eat and not eat, because if you put it in your body, it's worse than wasting it, because it's abusing your body if it's more than you need, quite simply. So pay attention and broadly speaking, cutting carbs and cutting sugars is just a common sense thing at this point in time, I think, for most of us. But if you make the effort, you can have food that's terribly, very, very, very satisfying without sugars and without additives and without spices is great. I mean, Allah gave us the gift of food and the pleasure of it. And I've shared with you with you many times in my lectures the hadith about the Prophet ﷺ eating melon and letting the juice drip through his beard, and his companions looking at noticing that, and he said, "Eat this melon this way because it comes from Jannah." and well, the meaning of the food coming from Jannah, we know we deserve to enjoy the food that we had, not only the food, but enjoy all of the beauty of Allah's creation. Recently, I spoke to someone and I said, with all the stuff that's going on in the world today, even if we don't watch the news, the intense stress it puts on us unconsciously is huge. And I have found through the years the only way I can balance the horror and the brutality and the suffering of so many people in the world is to drink in as much as I can the beauty and the majesty of Allah's creation. In the Prophet ﷺ said, when he said, 3 things bring coolness to my eye, back to another video I was relating about what comes through the eye. And when he said brings coolness to the eye, he didn't mean just the eye. He meant his state of being. And he said the things that bring coolness to the eye, his eye is the green of nature, running water, and a beautiful face. And we all know the truth of that and have experienced it. But I want to remind some of you, and I said this to recently someone I was working with, and they said, yes, I'm not taking in the beauty, and I'm not being thankful and appreciative and paying attention to the beauty and the pleasure of just walking through the world in Allah's creation, that which has not been corrupted and made ugly, but the beauty of it, the majesty of it. We need that. I need it personally on a daily basis to be able to look at the clouds and see the extraordinary kind of quality here in New Mexico, that just the variety of clouds and sky in New Mexico is worth coming and living here for alone. But I pointed it out to people, look at those clouds, look at that, and so forth. Or even as this time of the year when, all the plants of the greenery is gone so much, and you get these fields and you get these areas with this absolutely beautiful, gorgeous nuance of very, very faint colors, of not bright colors at all, but, tans and grays and browns and, tinges of very subtle colors mixed together. And the beauty of that is such a pleasure and sustenance. That is sustenance for me to manage through the day. And I mentioned in another video about getting up in the morning after Fajr and catching the early sun coming up, and what that does for us on all levels. And so, inshallah, just eat real food as much as you can, sahur and iftar too. I know we all want to sort of, dig in and have something really great for iftar. We can still do it and have good food, inshallah. All right. Assalamu alaikum.